Hello! So, today's video, as the title suggests, is on AC Unity. And what I should first get out of the way is the whole concept that actually this video should be treated more as a prologue to a larger video I'm working on AC Syndicate. And I just wanted to give my opinions on Unity first, sort of just go over what I really think this game is, and just I can really fit it into that video properly, and I don't think it would flow nearly as well if I was to highlight it in this direction. So here you go, a little discussion on Unity. It's off the cuff because I'm not writing a script for Unity. Bugger off. Now, I never liked Unity, and I still don't like Unity after playing it right now in 2022, and let me tell you a couple things about it. First, the claim that Unity is somehow an underrated gem of the AC franchise is a fundamental lie. The game is not fixed after the patches. Let me also highlight you that is not true either, because the bugs in the game still happen and they still break the game. So, now, where am I going to go with this? Why are you just going to say this? Well, let's highlight a couple things. First, the story. I don't think people who are saying that AC Unity is an underrated gem are liking the story, because let's all be honest to ourselves, the story of Unity is a soap drama masquerading as an AC storyline. It's nothing about assassins. The assassin plotline gets killed off halfway through the story when Arno is tasked with killing Belek, because Belek is saying, hey, Arno, stop being a simp. Stop simping, bro. Stop being a cuck. And Arno says, no, I want to live my life as a cuck. And he kills Belek, an interesting character who actually had cool enough motivations and was, he was our opportunity to explore this idea that the Templars and Assassins are in peace times and how they would be working during that time, and how, the Assassins were, corrupted not to do so. You could have explored the whole idea that, look, both the organizations are forced underground. We could have explored how the Brotherhood functions in such a manner. We could have explored again what is going on with the Assassins in this time. That didn't happen. Belek got killed because Arno is a cuck, and he gets cucked in the end of the story yet again. Spoilers. Now, that is, I feel like, an obvious truth for most people, but for the one person that thought the story was good, it's not. It's not a good story. The story has no development of Arno up until the DLC, which shouldn't be counted as giving praise to the main game, even though the DLC is free. Still, that was not the intention, and the story fundamentally still is bad. I don't care about the idea that Arno is a cuck. That's my opinion. If you like that, fair enough. But that is not a good AC story. Let me tell you that one. I think Shay Cormack's story was a little bit of a better one, because it actually revolved around Templars and Assassins. Arno's story doesn't. So, there you go. Now, let's get to the actual reason why this game still gets praises in today's community. The thing I'm going to refer to as the illusion of the videos. So, what do I mean by that? I think, and I'm concluded, we've all seen videos where people are playing Unity and they're showing off this impressive parkour, right? This impressive free running, how smooth it looks. That is, in my opinion, fake. Why do I mean that fake? I'm not saying the footage is fake. No, that's all I'm saying. The footage is real. The game can look this visually impressive. But when you're playing the game, something the video does not ever show you when you're playing the game is actually how it feels to play the game. Let me tell you. Arno will not be going where you want Arno to go. It doesn't matter how many times you press the button, he's going to attach to whatever the fuck he wants to attach to. Oh, you want to go forward? Fuck you, we're climbing this handhold off to the side. Why? Because screw you. Do you want to do a side eject? No, fuck you, there's no side ejects in this game. Can you cancel an animation? No, you can't. Playing the game, the feeling of the free running should be and is always more important from a player's perspective than how the game looks when you're doing the free running. And videos don't show you how the person playing the game is probably spamming the keyboard, or in my case, it's the keyboard, many times to do a single move, hoping that out of the 50 times they spammed this input, Arno's going to register at least one of them and do what is asked of him. Sometimes that still doesn't work. If I could show you how many times, if I could show you like a hand, like my keyboard, like streamers do and speedrunners do, my keyboard and the footage alongside it, you'd see the amount of effort that is put into doing a single goddamn fucking action for Arno to actually follow your instructions properly, and it's still not always going to happen. The illusion of the video is that you think every input, every movement that Arno does on screen was wanted from the player, and most of the times, I'm gonna be honest, the fuck it isn't. You're not gonna jump down where you want to go, you're not gonna climb up the things you want to go, you're gonna attach to things you didn't want to attach to, and the game is also buggy, so sometimes things are not gonna work properly. Even if they're like the game wants it to do it, it's still not gonna work properly because fuck you. You're gonna get stuck on ledges, you're gonna get stuck on ledges that shouldn't be even climbable, so on and so on. Now, that is to put in a nice bow and say, don't watch the videos and say, oh wow, this game looks so impressive to you to play in, because it's not going to be so fun. I don't know if this is an issue on console, this is most definitely an issue on PC. You're not going to have a fun time playing this game when you're spamming the button, to free run down, and Arno saying, fuck you, I'm not free running down, screw you. Oh, you want to jump across jump across the rooftop to the next rooftop? Fuck you, we're descending to the ground. The parkour is not so fun to actually play with when you have control of it. Now, there is something larger at hand. The game is fucking burnt. In the words of Joseph Anderson from his Witcher 2 video, you should check that out, it's a great video. Please release the third video, god damn it. That was a little off the cuff. The game is burnt. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a couple elements in the game that don't function nearly as they should. It feels like the game was not, you could say it's underdeveloped, but honestly, it just feels like it was developed in such ways, and it was so hectic to develop the game, that by the end there was features and functions that the developer started working on, never finished, started working, forgot to finish, started working, made too complicated, abandoned, and so on. So you can see these remnants and things, and sometimes you see like, oh, they just didn't do this at all. For example, there's no delete save game state. You cannot delete a game save. You are forced to go through some sort of wacky methods, and it's not too hard. I don't want to pretend like it's super hard on PC. I'm not sure how hard it is on console, but on PC you have to go to where your game directory is, find the save file, delete it, make sure your game is now launched up properly and it doesn't download your actual save file from the cloud, launch the game, start a new save game, and make sure that this save file is now uploaded to Ubisoft servers, and hopefully that it's going to stay up there and not just get replaced with the old one, so on and so on. That's the only way to properly delete your save game. Is that fun? No. Should the game have had multiple save states? Yes. Why didn't it? Probably because of the multiplayer, because they didn't want to figure out how to actually do it coherently, so they just abandoned the project as a whole. But there's also no delete save games, so you're forced to just play on a single save unless you do the whole fun stuff with file directories, and I'm not sure how complicated it is on console. Maybe it's easier, maybe it's harder. I wouldn't know. I'm not a console player, as I've let known many times in this video already. Now, combat. I've seen some praises of the combat in this game. I don't know if these people are high or what are they doing, what sort of hush money was paid to them. That is not true. The combat is as broken, if not more broken, than parkour, because if you fail the combat, you have to restart wherever you were. You have to respawn, which is annoying because the load times are incredibly long. Not too long. I have an SSD, so it's not the worst, but on console I'm gonna assume it's actually terrible. um the combat is not much better than the previous games. I'm not a combat guy in these games. Clearly AC, the franchise, was developed as a stealth game, a stealth adventure game. So why you'd think that combat is the primary objective, I don't know. You don't complain about The Witcher 3 having a bad stealth gameplay because The Witcher 3 isn't a stealth game, so why complain about it, right? Cool. So why complain about, the counter kills? The counter kills are so easy. Why is this so easy? Why is this combat not engaging? It's not meant to be. That's my genuine opinion. It's not meant to be engaging. Why are you? The combat is there as as a fail state, really, for you to be able to continue playing the game without reloading it because you failed stealth. That's the quite honest truth of it. You failed stealth, so now you're forced in combat, and it's not meant to be fun because it's not meant to be encouraged. It's meant to be a tool for you to use if you really need to, and then get the fuck away. That's what it's meant for, right? You're not meant to do so. This is a stealth game. Stop talking about how easy the combat is, because it's not a combat fucking game. God damn it. That's just my take on that. But also, the game is the combat in Unity is bad. It's sort of upgraded, quote unquote, from the last games, because rather than having a counter kill, you countering simply gives you an opportunity to attack, and then you can just do it, cause some damage, and then the enemy's not instantly dead. So I guess that's better because it takes longer for you to defeat your enemies in the fail state that you're not supposed to be encouraged to play anyways. Although it's so bad that I guess you're not encouraged to do it, but the stealth in the game is also broken. So, that is an issue of its own. But anyways, the reason the combat's mainly broken is because the game is as a whole is buggy and burnt. I was playing a couple missions, and on screen you should see where I'm in combat mode, and you don't see me, but I'm actively and furiously pressing the attack button. I'm pressing the attack button, Arno's not attacking. I'm pressing the counter button, it's Arno's not countering. Arno's just taking fucking damage for the shits and giggles, and then I die and have to respawn, and this happened on many times in the same mission. I thought it was because it was a multiplayer mission, so I heard that multiplayer makes the game, 10 times buggier. But I did have the same issue out in the world, although it could have been because it was the same game session, and the multiplayer bugs carried over to the single player. I don't know how the game works. My point is that the experience was bad because the combat would literally not fucking work, and I had to reload the mission for it to start working again, and then the bug kept on reappearing, and the only way I finished it was by taking into account the bug was going to come and having bullets saved, because that worked. Speaking of bullets and guns, this game doesn't have a proper way to evade guns if you're not in combat. So if you don't know, the only way to evade a shot coming at you is if you're in combat mode and you see the fire gun, the gun icon pop up, that you're about to be shot, you're supposed to roll away. That works half the time, by the way. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the thing doesn't pop up. Same thing with a counter. Sometimes, an enemy's about to attack you, the counter doesn't pop up, and you can still counter it if you get in the animation. Sometimes you can't counter it because fuck you, but the icon doesn't pop up, the signal doesn't pop up. Same thing with the gun. But with the gun, if you're going to be shot and you're not in combat mode, guess what? you can't evade the shot. You're gonna get shot across the map because fuck you. We didn't make into account that you're gonna actually evade in the game. What? You're playing the classic Assassin's loop of, assassinate, fight out, and evade? Wild. That's not possible. Why? How would we ever do that? No, Unity doesn't take into account that because most enemies can shoot at you. So as you're running away, you're probably gonna be breaking sights of vision and spamming smoke bombs in hopes you're not gonna get shot. So the game is broken again in that regard. How else is the game broken? The stealth. The stealth is broken, and honestly, I think it could easily fit. I think my issue with stealth really is the lack of the whistle. I think everything else could be easily counteracted, but the lack of the whistle makes it very hard to attract enemies to come to you. So what you're hoping for is that the enemy actually has a routine to turn around that not every enemy has. So if your enemy can turn around, then you could assassinate from the back. That's your only hope. You can't whistle and attract the enemy to come to you. You could use cherry bombs, yes, but it has a very large radius, and it's also not always going to work as you want it to work. So that is, again, an issue that I think would have easily been fixed with a whistle button, a whistle option. But, oh well, that wasn't added, and as such, the stealth is kind of janky in its own right. Another thing about stealth is that you're detected too easily. Like, it's not like, oh, one enemy's gonna be detecting you. It's the enemy and the enemies in its radius, and sometimes the opposite happens. You're gonna kill an enemy, and you're gonna start shooting a gun, but if the enemy is like a floor below you, they're not gonna notice. Sometimes they're all gonna notice. Sometimes you're gonna do an action where they shouldn't have seen it, but all of them are alerted. I don't know why that's the way the game works. But point being, the detection system of the game is in its own right janky and flawed, so it's not consistent, which is an issue because you need consistency in your game loops, right? Right. So, I think that's almost everything. Right, graphics. I think that one of my really things that I really dislike about this game is the jank with the graphics in terms of, I just like the jank as a whole, but one thing that's really off-putting in the game as a whole, in the world, that I feel really harms it negatively, is how jarring the graphics are when they pop in, or they have low LODs, or they have the render distance is very short, so you look away, especially when you're syncing up and you just see these low res models and you're like, wow, that looks terrible, and it shouldn't because it's so close to me. Why is this looking terrible? The crowds, the whole game was basically a glorified tech demo for how much crowds you could have at one time in a world, but every person in the crowd is just popping in, changing attires, changing how they look, and you're like, why are you popping in front of me? That is incredibly immersion breaking. I'd put it's immersion breaking is the best way I'd put it. The other games, I don't think, suffer nearly as hard from immersion breaking and the worlds feel lived in, but this game consistently will remind you that it's a game. Yes, you sort of know it's a game, but you're not able to properly get immersed in the world because of just how often things will pop in and look jarring and shouldn't be looking like that. And I really am grateful that Syndicate addressed that. And I'll cover more into why I think it's better in Syndicate. But I really think that issue can be seen. I think the issue it causes in Unity can be very easily seen by playing Syndicate, where that's not an issue, and you feel much more immersed in Syndicate's world than you are ever in Unity's world, which is just a really huge detriment to the game, because I think just having the world be immersive would have been a benefit to the game alone, but it's not immersive. Its free running is bad, so it's just not as fun. I will say, comparatively, overall, I do praise Unity for its side missions. Most of the footage you are going to see is actually side mission footage, because I actually find it much more interesting than the story and the objectives. And I do want to praise give praises to Unity for its side objectives, but everything else is inherently broken, as I mentioned before. So as a game, it's not as fun, which is why I think it's kind of deceitful to, I guess, claim this idea that it's this underrated gem, or that it's the best game in the franchise, or something like that. Because I think for you to do so would really take you to completely ignore all the glaring issues that are with this game and completely ignore them for the sake of enjoying this game. And if you can do that, power to you. But personally, I can't, and I can't stand when someone says this without addressing all these big issues the game has in its inherent nature. What I would say Unity is, I think, to really put it in correct nature of what Unity is, it's a game that shows unfulfilled promise of the franchise. Had Unity came out proper, it would have been a great step for the franchise. It didn't come out proper, and Ubisoft didn't take that correctly, and their failings of creating Unity made them create Origins. Now, Origins, I think I mentioned this before. Origins is, it's a new direction, and because of Origins, you have Odyssey and Valhalla. And you should check out Alien Platypus's. It's called Alien Platypus, I think, is the YouTube channel. And just search up Alien Platypus Origins review. It's the one video he's ever made. It's a phenomenal video on the issues with Origins, and I really encourage you to watch it. It goes into cover. Honestly, I think it's doing the same thing that I hope this video could do to some, and it's sort of breaking this not I guess it's breaking the illusion that Origins is a good video. I'm hoping to do this thing with Unity. Unity is broken. Unity is burnt. Unity is not an underrated gem. Unity is not a game that was treated too harshly by the community. Unity sucks. Unity's a broken game. It came out broken. It's not fixed after the patches. They might have addressed the glaring issues. Yes. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying the developers didn't address big issues or didn't do absolutely anything since day one. But it's still very much broken. And its brokenness makes the game unfun to play if you're not willing to put up with it. The immersion breaking makes the game much lower than it really deserved to had it come out properly. It didn't. And that's a shame. It's a shame, and I understand why you might like Unity. It's a shame the game didn't come out properly. It very could have changed the direction the whole franchise went, and I'm honestly of the belief it did. But you cannot go back to Unity and defend it from what is the honest truth. And the honest truth is that the game is broken, and that's the truth. That's the reality we live in. I'll end this long rant here. I won't continue any longer. As I mentioned, I am working on a Syndicate video that is much longer. It is scripted. It is going to be, a bigger project. I've been working on it since last year, on and off. But it's definitely a daunting task, and hopefully I can get it out within the next month or so. Maybe not, but you'll see when that comes out. If you want to check that out, do feel free to subscribe. But I'm not forcing you to. And if you really hated my opinion on Unity, let me know. And I shall see all of you later.